So what I found is that weekends really are the enemy, at least for me. And what I mean is that when you create the separation between how you usually live your routine and your life, and you separate that from the weekend where you maybe sleep in, you go to bed late, you eat different food, maybe you don't train in the morning, maybe you start off the day and you scroll your phone, you scroll Instagram, you start the day off reactive and basically in the mindset of a consumer, and through the whole day you basically have a different gear that you're in, then it kind of breaks your momentum. And with sleep, it's even worse when you break your sleep schedule. And I've had this last weekend where I basically just stayed up like 2.5 to 3 hours later than usually. So usually I go to bed 9:30. That's kind of my target. And this weekend it was like around 12:30. And for me, that is very late. And only these few hours on 2 days kind of kicked me out of my routine. I was very tired the last few days. I was just kind of more brain fogged. My whole experience of life, my whole experience of my routine was way worse. And this is not a moral judgment. I'm not saying that anyone who takes a weekend is lazy or that it is bad in some way. My point is that this break in momentum, this break in routine will cost you a lot. And to me, I've now figured out through many times of reliving the same experience and kind of making the same mistake that the benefit of sleeping in and staying up late usually isn't worth it, at least not for me, at least not right now. And this is not an argument against having some fun, against relaxing, against creating some time and space for things that you want to do, for hanging out with friends, maybe going on a date or dates, or like just spending quality time with your partner or whatever it is that you typically do on weekends. But what I found is that this cost of breaking the momentum, of breaking the routine, is something to be aware of. And I think there will always be times where you deliberately make the choice that it makes a lot of sense to have a real weekend. And I think in this case, it makes the most sense to fully embrace that. So when you take a weekend, when you take basically time away from your routine, go all in, like really enjoy it, fully switch your mind off, or try to switch your mind off, because that can be quite difficult, and really go all in and really enjoy that and really use that to kind of replenish your energy, your soul in that sense, because I think it kind of depletes your energy to have this like a break out of your routine, because at least for me, I found that the deeper I'm in my routine, the more I'm in this momentum of waking up at the same time, eating at the same time, roughly, always training in the morning, always having those certain kind of cornerstones of your day. The more energy I have, the more effortless everything is, the more I'm able to do the things that I want to do, to move toward some of the goals that I have. And when you break out of the routine, you sometimes need that just for your soul, just so you can enjoy life and have a break. And I think that's perfectly reasonable. But my point is to be very aware of the cost, because especially if you're never really in a solid routine, and I would argue that most people never really, or at least for long stretches of time, never experience what it is like to be kind of dialed in terms of routine, because they always have this break on the weekend. They always, basically, Monday they're recovering still in terms of sleep from the weekend, because if you stay up late on Friday and Saturday, then you can probably not fall asleep as easily on Sunday. You're a bit tired on Monday. It like takes maybe 2-3 days until you're fully in a normal sleep schedule again, and then on Friday you're staying up late again. So you're always breaking this cycle. Whereas what I've basically realized every single time I've tried it, when you start to stick to one wake up time and one sleep time roughly, right? The most important thing is the wake up time, because that anchors your day. But over time, when you always wake up at, I don't know, 6:30, for example, or 7, or whatever time you choose, it will take like 7 to 10 days of sticking to it until you really get into it. And you will see a very big shift. there's a difference between going to bed on time for 3 days in a row or 4 days in a row or even 5 days in a row and doing that for 10 days or then even longer, because your body gets used to it. You will wake up way more energized. You will need less sleep. I've noticed that when I'm more in my routine, I tend to need less sleep because my body naturally falls asleep very easily, wakes up more easily, I think, and it kind of intuitively, in a bro science way, makes sense to me that if you always sleep at the same time and always wake up at the right time, then your body gets used to it and it can sleep more efficiently. At least that's my kind of theory, because if you always have a different sleep, then your body never really knows, okay, how much more time will we have to sleep, and it might not be as efficient. And so when you have this routine, when you are in this kind of zone of being dialed in, and more and more and more, the more you maybe change your diet to match that, right? If you eat bad food, ultra processed foods, stuff like this, your body will pay the price for it, right? It comes at a cost, even if you don't see kind of a physical effect. For me, this was my cope for a very long time, that I've always been lean, and I've only gained muscle since starting to train. I was 65 kg when I was 21. Now I'm like 81 kg, and I'm the same leanness as always. And so it was always my cope to say, oh yeah, I can, I struggled to gain more weight, so I might as well just eat bullshit food, because I was always shredded. I will never not be shredded. But that's a cope, because it will have an effect on your mind, on your brain, on your inflammation, on your gut. There's so many things that this impacts. And so to bring this all back again, I don't want to necessarily make an argument against having weekends. I want to make an argument for being aware that usually how most people live their weekends completely screws them up, and also it will reduce your joy that you have in your journey. If you just stick to a routine and you don't eat bullshit, you sleep at the same time, you train in the mornings, you build this momentum, after like a week or 2 weeks, you will get into a rhythm where you will feel incredible. You will feel super energized, super driven, super motivated. And sure, it is fun to go out on a weekend, to hang out with friends, to go on a date, to sleep, to go to bed late, to, I don't know, watch like random YouTube videos at 2 a.m. and go down a weird rabbit hole. Like, those times are fun. And I think there's a place for that, but being mindful, and maybe if you've never really kind of locked in, and I don't want to use that phrase because I think most people I think the idea of locking in is such a stupid idea, and most people never do it, and I think it's also too strict and confining of an idea. I personally would rather frame it as giving yourself the gift of establishing a routine, and then the main pillar is just sleep. Like, if you just sleep at the same time, roughly, and go to bed at the same exact time every single day for like 10 days, you will feel a drastic change. And if you've never done it, then I think you should consider this as an experiment to just try it, because you will see how profound the effect is. Like, the effect goes beyond, oh yeah, I just wake up at the same time, cool, like I can fall asleep maybe a bit easier and whatever. It has a profound effect. And so, before I keep repeating myself, this is kind of my message to myself mostly, to keep my routine, to be aware of the cost of breaking the routine and then doing it deliberately. Maybe sticking to your routine for like 2-3 weeks, and then the fourth week, last one of the month, you just have a weekend where you go on a date night late, you stay up late, maybe you spend the whole night, maybe you go out with friends, maybe you have some fun, maybe you eat some bullshit food, and you have this weekend that you fully enjoy, and then you return back to a routine, not because you are locking in, not because you're doing the David Goggins way, not because you need to or because you would be a pussy otherwise, and not because you need to do it so that you're not a lazy piece of shit. This is all bullshit. do it for yourself. Just give it a shot. Just do this experiment and just see how you feel when you stick to the routine for like 2 weeks. I think 5 days are not enough. Monday until Friday is not enough, because I think it takes like a week, 10 days to see the benefit of the momentum accumulating, and you will then realize why people do it. Because if you only do it for a few days, if you do it Monday until Friday, by Friday you will be like, yeah, this was quite difficult. I was tired because I had an alarm every day, and like I couldn't fall asleep so easily, but I stuck to my routine and whatever. You will feel exhausted on Friday, and you will enjoy your weekend, and then you're on Monday again, you're like, oh fuck, I need to go back to this. It will not be sustainable. It will not click for you. But if you stick to it, basically if you skip 1 weekend of having fun, just one to try, because then you have basically 5 days plus 2 days plus another 5 days. So that would be 12 days where you can stick to a routine, and you only skip 1 weekend essentially. And by the way, I'm not saying that you need to then work the whole weekend or be productive the whole weekend. I'm just saying stick to your sleep schedule, try to eat not the worst food on that weekend, and start the day ideally with a workout, and then do something useful. And that can be something for yourself. You can just, like, maybe you have had some creative ideas, some thoughts that you've had for a while, but doing the work, you're too busy with work, you're too busy with whatever like you have going on in life, and then on the weekend you're exhausted and you don't want to think about productivity. Just work on a fun project. Just give that project a shot in the morning instead of on the weekend, just scrolling Instagram, like watching YouTube, just being lazy. Not lazy, I don't want to use that word. I don't want to sound condescending. So let's say don't be reactive, don't be in the consuming mindset from the first hour. Just wake up normal time when you start, ideally with a workout, just an hour, just work out, and then do, I don't know, 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours of something useful, something creative, something, it can be fun, like you don't need to work necessarily, just pursue something creative for a few hours, and then you have the whole day in front of you, and you can enjoy that day also way more if you have started the day productively. And I think that's kind of my final message in this video. Just try it for one stretch. Like next weekend, just don't do a normal weekend. Next weekend, wake up at the same time, follow the routine, do something useful, train on the weekend, train in the morning. And then I think you will notice that you will start to feel really, really incredible at like the 7-8 day mark. And you might have unlocked in your experience, because I think unless you ever try it properly, it will never click what people mean by really locking in and by really being dialed in. So I hope this was useful, and that you will give it a shot.